So they say education is the key to success, and nations are built because their people are educated so that they are able to provide solutions to those countries' problems. Now in Zimbabwe, something is smelling in our education system. This is and this will always be the situation right now. With me, your host as usual, Dara B. Now we are going to be looking into what is wrong, who is the problem within our education system and how it can be solved. Now we are going to be talking specifically looking at the strike that appears to have crippled operations at the University of Zimbabwe. Now join me just after this break for this and more. Welcome back to This The Situation Right Now. With me, your host as usual, Dara B. And here we ask the questions, so what? We make you understand why you need to care. Now, in this episode of The Situation Right Now, we're going to be discussing the strike that has crippled operations at the University of Zimbabwe. This comes as the university has released a timetable for examinations, and students will be sitting for their end of semester or their module exams for block 3 and 4. And the students themselves appear to be worried, but we're going to be talking about this. And joining me in studio to discuss this is Modisha Maingehama, a student leader. Welcome and thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us today.
Beautiful. And I'm also joined by Darlington Chingwena. He's also a students leader and a former inmate. Thank you very much, Darlington, for coming through.
Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Amazing. Now, Modisha, I'll start with you, Modisha. What is your crisis? What is your dilemma right now as a student who is studying at the University of Zimbabwe?
So, as a student at the University of Zimbabwe, we are very sad as students because we pay our school fees in full. In return, we expect to get quality education. What then happens when we are paying school fees and then the lecturers, they don't come to school? And then we at the University of Zimbabwe, so far I can say for me, it's now 2 months without learning. And we cannot blame the lecturers for whatever it is that is happening. We blame the administration because we don't pay our school fees directly to the lecturers. So this ongoing strike is actually disturbing our studies, and as students we are very sad and we don't even know what is going on because all we know is that we are blaming the administration for this current situation.
But you have got a platform where you are able to sit with the admin and have these discussions. Has this happened? Have your leaders that you elected come back to you and reported to you to say, we have engaged the admin?
So as students, we believe that there's a student board that is supposed to be representing the students at the University of Zimbabwe, which is the SRC board. But however, this SRC board, it's like they are puppets of the administration. All they can do is to go to the meetings, sit there, take pictures, and then they come back to us and say, we have had a meeting with the vice chancellor. They are not even raising our concerns as the students. So we cannot say we are fully represented as students because the SRC board itself, it's just something else, not for the students, but rather the puppets for the administration.
Wow, strong words there, but we'll come back to you. Darlington, what is your concern as a student as you head for your exams? I understand that exams start this coming Monday.
Yeah, that's very true. It is conspicuous that our education was stolen and our academic career is being ruined in our sight as students, despite the fact that fees was astronomically hiked and the students have managed to pay for that hiked fees. But right now, we are not getting the education we have paid for. We have paid for credible and quality education. That is what we have paid for. But as we can speak right now, there is nothing which is going on at the University of Zimbabwe. There is no academic business which is happening there. Everything is in shambles. Everything is in havoc because the lecturers are on strike. And when the lecturers are not there, it means that there is no business that can go on at the university. Bearing in mind that without lecturers, there is no lecture that can take place because the lecturers are the engine that can propel the education at the university. So we are very saddened as the students. We are not happy. We are very angry because it is our future which is at stake. It is our education which was robbed. Yes, the exam timetable was set, but I can't say it is an exam. That is a scam because you can't set an exam in an environment whereby the students did not learn.
But students didn't learn during COVID, and there were still exams in your grade 7, in your form 4s, and students still wrote and passed.
There was time for us to learn. I was part of the students who were affected by COVID-19. We learned, but we learned for a short period of time. But in this case, the exam was set and we didn't learn. And there are some programs which were put at the exam timetable, but these students, they even went home because there was no academic business which was taking place at the university. They didn't attend any lectures. And also there are some programs which are not even appearing at that exam timetable. A clear indication which shows that this is not an exam which was set. It is a scam because an exam is set when the environment is chlorinated, making it conducive for credible and quality education. But in this case, it's actually academic chicanery which is happening. It's an academic gimmick. We don't take it as a solution, but we take it as a scam.
But what would you rather have? That there's no exams at all this end of block and semester, and then you'll have to carry it through. What would you rather have?
We have paid for education and we deserve to have quality and credible education that we have paid for. So what the admin is supposed to do is to chlorinate the environment, making it conducive for quality education first before they set an examination. So they are supposed to make sure that they bring the lecturers back. And if the lecturers are back, that is when we can start the education that we have lost in the past period. So as of now, there is no any academic business that can go on because without lecturers, there are no lectures that can take place, and there is no exam that can be set by the students.
So, Nodisha, I once had a concern from the UZ admin saying that the fees that university students are paying is just a far cry and cannot afford the salaries that the lecturers are demanding, and therefore the university is in a dilemma because if they are going to pay that money that the lecturers need, they have to hike your fees. How do you balance that?
So for me, I think that's why communication is important, because right now the administration, they're not even communicating a thing to us, and that's why we are not in a position to fully understand what is going on. But I would say that if they are saying that the school fees that we are paying is not enough, if it means that we are supposed to increase the amount of fees that we pay, because if we take a look at it, some of the people, they pay the school fees in RTGS. So if you are supposed to be paying 700 and something, you end up paying something like 370. So that actually means that if it means that we have to increase the school fees, let it be increased so that we get quality education, because it does not make any sense for them to keep on postponing examinations, keep on the lecturers on strike if they know that there is a solution that can be done. So if it means that the school fees is supposed to be increased, let it be increased. If it means that they're going to say people, they should pay their school fees in full US dollars, let it be so that the lecturers, they get money that they are requiring from the administration. I don't know who pays the lecturers, but I believe that as students, we just blame the administration for the situation.
So some have argued that last time the university increased, they increased the tuition at the university. Most of you went on a demonstration, and police had to be brought in at Chikomoche Pleasure to disperse students who were unhappy. Now, these are the effects. So you bite yourselves, or you shoot yourselves in the foot, because admitting you that this is how to run the school, you refused, and now you are feeling the pinch. What would you say?
The problem is the reason why people will reject the increasing of the school fees is because sometimes these leaders, they are not accountable for the money that we pay. I cannot just be paying money just because the university have said we should increase the school fees. First of all, I have to know where is the money going, what are they using the money for. So I think if they are clear on that, I'm sure everyone will be able to be in a position to be paying that school fees in full without even raising any concerns. The problem is they are not accountable. We know somewhere, somehow, there's something that is going on. There are people who are looting money from the coffers of the students' money. So we cannot just pay because they said we should pay. First, we have to know where is the money going? What are they using the money for? If they provide for that, I think it would be fair enough for us, the students.
Matuku investigators Gananda. Now, so in your view, what should be done? What should be done at this point? Because exams, you are going to write exams on Monday.
I think transparency and accountability first. They have to, the students' representative board, they should fully represent us and go there into their meetings with our concerns.
But you elected them. You elected these puppets.
That's the problem.
What is the problem?
We did not elect them.
They were imposed by the
We
administration.
don't even know some of
Well,
these
the SRC we have at the University of Zimbabwe is dead and buried. We didn't elect it. It was imposed to the students by the administration. The SRC which is legit, the SRC which is legal, is us. Because we were supposed to be in SRC, but we were unlawfully barricaded to contest for SRC elections. They were saying we have criminal records or we have pending court cases. Yet the SRC election rules at the University of Zimbabwe say someone with a criminal record is the one who is not supposed to contest for SRC elections. But the reason why they impeded us to contest for SRC, it is because they are afraid of us. Why? Because they know that we clearly and truthfully represent the students without fear. We challenge injustice. We challenge anything that is not accountable and transparent to the students. That is the reason why they made sure that we are out of the student representative board.
So you think that the university is not accountable and it's not transparent?
There is no transparency and accountability at the University of Zimbabwe. That's why you see when fees is hiked, the students start to protest because they are not even aware how those funds that they are paying are being used for. Right now, we are seeing that at the University of Zimbabwe, there is a construction of some pavements, yet the learning of the students is not going on. It means that those people, they are focusing on things that are less important. And we don't...
Are you saying that pavements is not important for your learning?
Pavements are not even important.
But they are not a priority.
They are not a priority.
We came to university to learn, not for fancy things and everything. Our academics are our first priority.
When you walk into Wits, say for instance, you walk into Wits, you walk in Kent University, you will see the lawns, the grass is well kept, the pavements, I mean, even the lecture room themselves.
But it does not make sense that students, they are not learning, and then at the same time you are constructing some pavements. What is more important, bringing lecturers back or having pavements? Now that's very questionable. It does not make sense.
You are unhappy with this, but my question remains really unanswered. Maybe Darlington, you're writing on Monday and you're saying you have not learned. Let's talk about that.
As I've already said, that is a scam which was set for us.
Yeah, but you are writing. So the question is, what should be done? Because you're going to write, and you're going to participate in that scam, aren't you?
Yeah, that is very difficult. As I have said, we are in a very difficult situation whereby our education was robbed. What we need to understand and accept in this case is that our education was robbed. And our academic career we have been building for several years was ruined. That is the fact.
Let's talk about being ruined. What do you mean when you say it has been ruined?
Because I'm going to write an exam without full knowledge about what I'm going to write in that examination.
Especially to the graduating class, I would say that this year the university is actually going to produce half-baked graduates, because come to think of it, who's going to employ people whom they know that they did not learn, their dissertations were not being supervised. The education system, it has been ruined at the University of Zimbabwe, especially for the graduating classes. For the meantime, we're just going to write because people now want to go home. People are tired. And come to think of it, for the students who stay off campus, they have been paying rent. So to tell them that, let's not write examinations, let's wait for the admin to do so and so. For the meantime, that will not work because the students are tired. So they're just now complying, not because they want to, but because those Tongoripo on the ground.
So someone would also argue that at university, students do most of the research for themselves, they do most of the studying themselves. So you must be well equipped to be able, once you have been given the course outline, you must be able to read and study by yourself and be able to find sense in what is happening in your academic life. What would you say, Dan?
I can't dispute that fact, because the lecturers, the other name for the lecturers, they are called the facilitators. They are there to facilitate our education. But in this predicament, we do not have anyone who is facilitating our education. We don't have anyone who gave us the course outline so that we can know where to research, we can know where to study. Right now, we are just walking in darkness, and the chances are that we can fall into the ditch.
And how big are those chances of falling in the ditch?
Very big. Very big. So the other sad thing is that the students are paying astronomical fees at the University of Zimbabwe.
But let me hold you there. How do you say these are astronomical fees? The average fee at the University of Zimbabwe is around 500 and something United States dollars, which can also be paid in the local ZiG, right? And like she was saying, there's a lot of arbitrage where people are now transacting the US, turning it into ZiG and paying their fees. You compare this with other universities, you'll find that you actually pay lesser than the Midland State University in Zimbabwe. You actually pay less, way less than a student who's in Wits University. You pay way, way, way less than a student in the UK at Kent University. You pay even way, 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 way less than anyone in the Ivy League university in the United States of America. So when you say astronomical, explain to me.
You need to understand that before we are students, we are citizens. We know what is happening in this country. We know the salaries that are being earned by the students, that are by the civil servants. Bearing in mind that the civil servants are our parents, and the majority of the students at the University of Zimbabwe, they are children of civil servants. Civil servants are not earning money that can exceed $300. Yet fees at the University of Zimbabwe, the highest faculty at the University of Zimbabwe, Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, they are paying $742 United States dollars. And for accommodation, they are paying $780 for accommodation. That is that money cannot correspond with the money that is being earned by the civil servants, by the money that is being earned even by a general worker in this nation. So we can't compare the fees we are paying at the University of Zimbabwe with the students at the University of Witwatersrand or with the students at Oxford University or any other nation. Why? Because in other nation, I understand that their salaries, they are reasonable. Their salaries are not peanuts like what our civil servants in this nation are earning. So what we are advocating for, before they hike fees, they should also consider the amount of salaries that are being earned by the people they are hiking fees for, so that we can afford to pay fees as students. Because as we can speak right now, we are clearly aware that the Constitution itself says in Section 75 that education should be accessible and affordable. And in this case, hiking fees beyond poverty datum line, it means that several students are going to drop out. And we have witnessed several students at the University of Zimbabwe dropping out of their education. Why? Because they can't afford to pay fees. And education is turned out to be inaccessible. And what is so surprising also is that we heard Minister Amon Murir, when he was the Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education, he was saying in the parliament that students should pay for fees. And because the education is not for free. I agree with the minister on that issue, because yes, we understand that education is not for free, because the Constitution says that it must be affordable and accessible. So if something should be affordable, it means that it must be paid for. But the fact that the Constitution is saying it must be affordable, it means that it must not barricade the students, or it must be something which can be afforded by anyone else. It must be something which is accessible by every student, because we have different students at the University of Zimbabwe. We have students who come from rural areas, we have students who come from poor backgrounds. All those students, they have a right to have affordable and accessible education, but they don't have right now. Because
if I say to you, Anudisha, that this demand to have affordable and accessible education is the one that is mitigating against you accessing quality education, because I'll say this: some of the lecture theaters, they don't even have PA systems, and those students who actually come a bit late, sit in the back, they actually don't even hear what the facilitator is saying. And this is because the education, the university doesn't have sufficient funds to fund for its needs. So how do we balance the desire to have accessible and affordable education, and at the same time, quality education? How do we balance that?
But in the first place, how do we know that the funds, they are not sufficient?
We say res ipsa loquitur. The thing speaks for itself. Your lecturers are not being paid. Your lecture rooms don't have adequate equipment, learning facilities, do they? And your admin has said there's not enough funds.
They should prove to us.
And also you admit that the fees that is being paid cannot be compared to that's paid in WITS, because here we have low salaries, right?
Yes.
But the expenses are not low. I mean, you admit that, right? Yeah.
It all goes back to the issue of accountability and transparency. We have to know as the students where the university is lacking, because trust me, hakuna munhu anongomuka makusena kunzi tikuwedzera fees ne$40 without a reason. For example, the money for those staying on campus, it was increased, but we have not seen any changes. The food is still the same. Water, there is no water sometimes. The Wi-Fi is not even working. So if they keep on increasing the fees without us seeing improvements, trust me, we will not comply. Even if we know that sometimes we are supposed to, because we want quality things in return. But if we are not seeing any improvements, how can we keep on increasing the fees and paying for that money, burdening our parents?
Let me just give you an example of small figures here, right? A student a pupil rather who is in primary school, in a government primary school in Harare CBD is paying 120 United States dollars per term, and the term is what? Is 3 months. That means they are paying $240 in 6 months, which is your semester. And this person here is just one teacher, right? And they're in primary school and they're paying 240 for the whole semester. You're paying around 500 for the whole semester. Don't you see this disequilibrium? That as you go, you have 7 lecturers in one semester and stuff like that, and you're actually also at a higher level. Don't you think that 500 is just a far cry, and what you're demanding cannot be provided from what you're paying? I mean, Darlington.
That goes to the issue of accessibility and affordability of education in this nation. The issue is not all about the Harare CBD primary school. The issue goes beyond that. It's a national issue. Bearing in mind that, we have several students in Zimbabwe who are not able to access education because it is unaffordable. So what we need to do is to make education inclusive for everyone. As I have already said, we have a lot of students at the University of Zimbabwe who come from different backgrounds. All those students, they should have access to education.
And the way you guys eat chicken in that university, I mean, the cars that are parked that belong to students at that university. I mean, if you just walk into the University of Zimbabwe right now, you will see the busiest place is next to the SRC building, where you are buying ice cream and chicken in. Is it not a case of misplaced priorities from students? Like honestly speaking, I look at you, you're wearing suits and watches, and you're telling me you can't afford fees.
As I have already said,
yeah,
there are some students from different backgrounds at the University of Zimbabwe. I understand that some, they come from better backgrounds, they come from rich backgrounds, and those are the elites. And some, they come from poor backgrounds, and those are the majority of students at the University of Zimbabwe. So what we are advocating for is inclusivity in terms of how education can be accessed by everyone in this nation. Education should not be for the elites alone. It should be for everyone.
I agree with you, but I'm saying to you, respectfully agreeing with you, but asking you respectfully also, that is this not, this issue of balance, is it not the reason why we are here in the first place? That as we try to balance, we are compromising, right? We are, for lack of a better word, we are now ruralizing the urban area so that we all are equal.
Not at all, because we don't have to rewind the clock back to the colonial era, whereby education used to be accessed by the whites, whereby we used to have the bottleneck system, whereby the elites used to have the education, whilst the black people used to be shut out from the education sector. We don't have to do that. We have to be inclusive in terms of how education can be accessed by everyone. That is my point, and my point remains unchanged, because education should be inclusive. Everyone deserves to learn, because the Constitution says education should be affordable and accessible. So the fact that some of the students cannot afford to pay fees, it means that education has ceased to be affordable and accessible. And by so doing, it is very unconstitutional.
What role do you think the alumni should play in terms of bringing solutions to the university? Because if you go to other universities, those who have passed through the university, who are successful, who have built businesses, have paid back. They invest in these universities for purposes of research, even for scholarships, for those that Darlington talk about who cannot afford. What role do you think they should play in Zimbabwe, if any?
I think they should help the students with some of the academic necessities they need. For example, we have some students who are now into some plethora of crucial businesses. For example, those who are into Econet, those who are into telecom, they should come at the University of Zimbabwe and put some Wi-Fi so that our education can, agitate in a clockwise direction. We have some academic necessities we need at the University of Zimbabwe. And those students who came from that university, they should go back and return favor to the university, or just to be like philanthropists, because yes, we lack much at the university. So if they come and put Wi-Fi, that will be a blessing to the students. If they come and, promote the health for the students at the University of Zimbabwe, if they come and repair some taps which are not functioning, if they come and they repair some chambers which are not even flashing, it's actually a great thing which can be appreciated and complimented by everyone.
But don't you think that we will be leaving room for the administration to do what they are supposed to do if we are now bringing other people to help the university students, when we know that whose responsibility it is to be doing all these things? The issue of Wi-Fi, it is their responsibility, so we cannot be holding other people accountable for the things that the administration itself is supposed to do. So I think they should just do the right thing. They should do their job. They should do whatever it is that they are supposed to be doing, instead of burdening other people. First, they should at least try, because at this point, I don't think they're even trying.
Yes, on that issue, yeah, she is speaking sense. But in terms of helping, when Mkoma blessed, when you have 3 cars, it doesn't mean that if I want to buy you a 4th car, it is even a problem. But at the University of Zimbabwe, it is very true that the admin should play its role, but it doesn't mean that those who want to assist or those who want to proffer some help to the students should be shut out from helping. They should help. If they want, if they have capacity, they should help. We like that, we appreciate them.
Amazing. So I'm just going to take a short break here and just allow you to listen to one of those fun moments at the University of Zimbabwe. I think this was one of the students, fortunately having a surname like mine, Mhlanga, talking about, in a lighter manner, talking about what is happening at the University of Zimbabwe in an academic tone. Just watch this and join us after the break.
Comments at the ongoing strikes at the University of Zimbabwe?
Well, I'd like to first thank you, young intellectual. So the present academic paralysis, I'll say it is a quintessential manifestation of a pedagogical disequilibrium emanating from systematical physical inadequacies and institutional remuneration incongruencies.
So what exactly are you saying?
I'm saying, young intellectual, the epistemological dissemination has been eviscerated by the pecuniary incapacitation of our esteemed facilitators of didacticism.
Sorry, Professor, I'm not getting you.
Okay, young intellectual, I'm saying this is exactly the situation that we describe as the info dish of the informatorial, so that you've been called to praxis in political science. And so it's like Inash each time. So as of now, there won't be lessons until our needs are attended to.
Oh, so you're saying you won't be having lessons until your needs are attended to?
Exactly, young intellect.
That's all.
Yeah.
Welcome back to The Situation right now with me, your host as usual, Dara B, here on Heart and Soul TV and radio. Thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you enjoyed the lighter moment that we just brought you. But as we close on this discussion, I'm a passionate person believing in education. I've always been actively involved in the education, especially of my children. I've been SDC chairperson for a number of schools. All the schools that my children have gone, I've been SDC chairperson, and they've championed the right to access education, but also understanding the critical issue that to access education, quality education, we need to be able to meet at a certain level and pay for it. But if we can't pay for it, then the taxes that we pay to government must be effectively used to enhance education instead of bringing it down. So I'm a passionate person about this education system. And I think, in my view, that government should also come in and play a major role, bring the taxes that they collect from the people and make sure that they fund those who can't afford. But they must allow those who are able to afford to bridge the gap so that the resources that are scarce are available. Also, the issue that you speak about around transparency and accountability remains very, very, very important. But in your view, what should be changed? Or who is, because, we can talk about who's at fault. Maybe you can talk about it, but what should be changed? What really should be changed to make things work?
First and foremost, in order for us to pinpoint what should be changed, we should be able to identify the root problem first. Should be able to identify what necessitated this situation. This situation was necessitated by an institution which is not accountable and transparent, and also it was exacerbated by the government itself, the ministry, because the Dakar Declaration of 2002 says that the money that should be given to the education sector should exceed 20% of the total national budget. But we saw Mr. Mtuli giving 14% to the higher and tertiary education. And this is the manifestation of Mtuli notorious budget to the higher and tertiary education. So all these problems which are happening, they are necessitated by that budget. They are also necessitated by an institution which is not accountable and transparent. Also, we need to have leaders that care, leaders that are not reckless, who cares about the future of the students, who cares about the academic career. Because we are being administered by people who have a lot of degrees, but they lack common sense and wisdom. Our revolution should be a revolution of common sense, because common sense should be a common theme at our own institution. They just need to use common sense. You can't construct a pavement at an institution whereby the students do not have medical aid. Last semester, I don't know if it is last semester or this semester, there is a girl who died because of cancer. She was going to be treated if she had a medical aid, but she died. And I can assure you that if I was the SRC president, she was not going to die. Why? Because I was going to advocate, I was going to challenge the university administration to provide medical aids for all the students with an immediate effect. Those are the things which I was going to focus on. So in terms of what can be done, yes, we need to build strong and accountable institution, and we also need to make sure that the ministry, the government itself, is also playing its crucial role in order to facilitate the propagation of education in our nation.
Amazing. What do you prefer solutions?
So for solutions, I think for us to be able to have quality education, because all of us were coming to the university to get quality education. So I think firstly, the administration, they need to communicate with us what is really going on, because it's the people who are paying, we need to know what is going on. And also, I think if it means that they are going to say maybe you pay half your fees in US dollars to counter this problem that we have been talking about, and then the remaining in RTGS, I think that way there will be no problems of inflation, whereby they will say that you are paying less money, so we will not be able to meet all your demands. So I think they need to come with a solution as soon as possible. So I think if the problem is because we are paying less money, I think there is always another solution to be done. We can say students, they should pay half their school fees in US dollars and then the other money in RTGS, because we cannot keep on continuing this issue, saying, putting the blame on us when we are paying the school fees and they are not communicating where the problem is.
Amazing. I like your passion, you guys, and I like your concern in terms of taking, talking about it and making sure that we find a solution. You said, Darlington, that your education has been, you have been robbed of your future. The quality of your degree could now be questionable, as you guys have said. And as you walk into the employment space, the employer is looking to say, is this person ever going to deliver what I'm employing them for? It also then calls on industry and commerce itself to come and take an active involvement in education, like happens in other jurisdictions. If you go to the Ivy League, they have universities, they have some of the largest endowments in terms of research, in terms of that are coming from industry and commerce, and also coming from government. It's everyone's responsibility to make sure that we improve the quality of education and the quality of our graduates coming out of the University of Zimbabwe. At the same time, the administration at the University of Zimbabwe should take a proactive approach to ensure that accountability and transparency is key. That's what attracts other people to come into the university and pour their funds there. They would donate aqua and stuff like that. If they just start donating to our lecturers, would probably, you would probably be learning right now. So if they can just come in and say, no, we have donated the 110 lecturers at the university, we have donated 110 aquas so that university lecturers can come to work instead of getting into the combi, So no, I want to thank you guys. If you have any last words, I'll start with you, Darlington. Then anything from your heart that you'd want to talk about that we didn't speak about, or that you feel you need to buttress.
First and foremost, I would like to compliment the lecturers for being patient with us for more than 7 years. For 7 years, because they have been earning peanuts since October 2018.
You've been at the university for 7 years?
No, that is reality. This is nothing more or less than reality. They have been earning peanuts since October 2018. So I want to appreciate them. I want to thank them for being patient. Right now, it's now their time. It's now the ample time for the lecturers to have reasonable salaries, to have salaries that are proper. So I want to appreciate them so much, and they should continue demanding for their salaries, and the struggle should go on unabated. And to the students, it is very sad that our education is being ruined by the people who are the beneficiaries of education for all. Because those people, they learned in the period whereby education was being accessed for free. The majority of them, education was being accessed for free. But now they are hiking fees, making education inaccessible and unaffordable for us, which is very wrong. We don't tolerate that. The fees which you are paying is beyond any reasonable doubt that it is above poverty that I'm lying in Zimbabwe. So it's not proper, it's not appropriate, and it must be reduced, because education should be affordable and accessible. So that is what I can say. Thank you so much.
Okay, so for my last words, I would want to say that our lecturers' struggle is also our struggle as students, because if they continue on strike, it actually means that we are going to continue with this war situation of us not learning. I believe everyone knows, and it has been said that the University of Zimbabwe is the only university in Zimbabwe. But I think right now, if we are to rank the University of Zimbabwe with other universities, I'm even ashamed to be a student at the University of Zimbabwe. And it's not even a lie. So to avoid this, I would want to say that those who are accountable and those who are supposed to act upon this issue, they should do so urgently, because we don't want to be half-baked graduates. We might say that for now, let's just write examinations and go. If they continue not paying the lecturers, next semester we are going to open schools, and then we will be the graduating class now. What are we going to do with our dissertations? So this war issue, it needs to be acted upon. If it means the government must intervene, they must intervene. We have been crying for months now, and we are very sad as students, and especially for the students who stay off campus. They have been paying rentals and there is no change. So right now we're just going to write the examinations, not because we want to, but because we are being forced to write, because we just want to go home. We are tired of this whole situation. So I think the administration, they should not do that to us, because we are paying our school fees in full. So those are my last words.
Thank you very much. You know, I was looking at the faces of my camera crew. They are from different universities, and so when you were saying UZ is the only university in Zimbabwe, I looked at them and their faces was like, no ways, no ways. The UZ is not the only university in Zimbabwe. In fact, I saw her. She was saying, no, it's GZU. But anyway, I want to thank you very much for having this conversation. And I mean, this conversation cuts across all our institutions of learning, not just the University of Zimbabwe, not just universities, but also our high schools and our primary schools. Because if we lose our children in primary, we will struggle to have quality students even at the university level. So as you have said, Nodisha, it's important for the government to come in and ensure that this madness is stopped, because the role of government primarily is to do for people what they can't do for themselves. And at this point, it appears that the people at the University of Zimbabwe have failed to do for themselves. It calls on government. It's people who were elected into office and trusted by their people to make decisions that move the country forward must be able to come through and change things for the better. My heart bleeds, and really bleeds, because as we struggle as a nation to balance the act in terms of making education accessible and maintaining quality education, we must find each other somewhere. How do we do this without compromising the quality of education? Because we might open the university to everyone, and people will come in and access that education. But what they are accessing is not quality. And therefore, it becomes the same as denying them access to quality education. What the people must access, the students must access, is not education, it is quality education. How do we ensure that quality education is accessible to all? This will always be the situation right now. With me, your host as usual, Dara B, on Heart and Soul TV and radio. We remain open to everyone and for everyone to share their views and to be heard. Because we believe here at Heart and Soul TV and radio that we must talk to each other and not through each other. And solutions are within us. So thank you very much for joining us. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share our content so that it reaches as many people as it can. And so that we grow and we continue to do what we do to change the path and direction of this nation to the best. Thank you very much. And Nodisha Darlington.
Thank you.
Degree Mashuman.
Santo.